I didn't do it this time, and it seems like it works, so that's great. Cool. All right. I believe we are live. Looks like in Zoom we are, and YouTube's loading up for me. I'll say hello to the world. Thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, like Toby said, we got a great group here today. Happy to see so many faces. It's another episode of the Cross Project Council meeting from the OpenJS Foundation. Today is March 14th, 2023. Our agenda is not too long, but we added a bunch of stuff to the agenda doc to talk about as well. So I think we'll probably have a good full meeting. So let's start with announcements. Is there anything we need to announce? Checking my notes.
Oh, I think the acceptance confirmation, acceptance or rejection confirmation for open source summit-OpenJS World were sent this last weekend. So if you have not received one and you have some outstanding slots around, you should probably check your spam or anything so that you don't lose your notification, but because you need to accept it in case you have been selected. So otherwise you will lose your slot. So just bear in mind that there is that.
Cool. Thanks.
I'll also make another call out for the Collab Summit Claudio's doing a great job planning that. CFPs are open. That's happening on May 9th, which is the day before Open Source Summit and OpenJS World. So submit your talk for the Collab Summit and we hope to see you there.
Great, thanks. Anything else? The Project Alpha Omega blog went out. Is that right? Comes to mind.
Yeah, we just published the March edition of the Node.js security report. So that's live. Lots of good updates this month. Big shout out to Raphael for always helping us with those.
Great. Cool. Anything else or any board updates or anything before we jump into the agenda?
We have a board meeting on Friday, so.
Great.
And sorry, I have one more thing to say too.
Yeah, please.
I don't think I've announced this in one of the CPCs lately, so if I did, apologies, but we're on Mastodon now. We have a OpenJS handle and a Node.js handle, and then jQuery and Electron are also on Mastodon. So we were super excited to get those launched. So we are using those and we're active. So make sure to give us a follow.
Right. Cool. And thanks to whoever's taking notes. I greatly appreciate it. Cool. So we wanted to throw something at the front of the agenda real quickly, just to make sure everybody's aware of it. The Node.js TSC charter changed. It says pull request 13. Oh, that's the TSC pull request 1350. But there is an OpenJS Foundation. Sorry, a cross
issue 1028.
Thank you.
There, link in the chat.
Perfect.
And everybody here who is a voting member has already weighed in, except for, sorry to call you out, Sean Larkin. But everybody else who's a voting member who's here today has weighed in. So
I'll take a look and weigh in accordingly.
thank you.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add this to the thing here, 1028. Great. All right, cool. Awesome.
I mean, quickly, may I just say something? I want to commend the way that this has been handled all over the place. It's been great to do this. Thank you, Rich, for leading on this. I think this was really good.
I'm glad it's been a positive experience.
Awesome. All right, cool. So touched on that. So moving on, the next agenda item is issue 1009. Sean, you added this, enabling payments for GitHub code spaces for projects. I don't know if there's any, I mean, there's been a lot of comments, but Anybody
Sure.
got a status?
Yeah, so as far as I didn't take time this last week to investigate what we want to do in terms of exploring the opportunity for having the OpenJSF be a billing manager on a GitHub account. So that's what I'm going to pursue, and I'll reach out to one of you all sometime this week if I have a cycle to explore that, and then maybe we'll use Webpack as the pilot program in case we get to that point. But yeah, so for right now, I think it's just taking the time this week to kind of investigate how we want to set up the infrastructure and then go from there.
Cool.
Let me know how I can help, Sean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is issue 1003. This is create some documentation webpage to describe the collaboration model of OpenJS projects. Mateo, you opened this and there's been a little bit of comments, but do you want to share a little bit more? Oh, you're on mute.
Muted.
Part of the reason why I opened that discussion was because I've recently seen there is quite a lot of confusion between different ways in different governance model of open source projects, and the fact that what is essentially the style of that OpenJS promotes, or what you would expect from the most prominent or projects at OpenJS. Okay, this is and part of this is because people seems to confuse the fact that, like, for impact projects, okay, so that we have multiple companies involved, is not one single dictator that makes all the decisions and all sorts of things. And currently, because there is a lot of confusion there, especially in junior developers and people that have not been in the industry for a long time. And they see that, oh, React is open source. Okay, React is open source. Of course, it fills all the questions, ticks all the boxes for being open source. However, it does not have open governance. Okay, I think it's striving towards it right now, because right now it's at least 2 companies involved into the decision making on React. So I see good progress on the progress on their end. But for a long time, it has been a single, like you were hired to the React team. Okay, like if you are hired to be on a team, then you are probably that you probably don't have there's probably not an open governance model. This is essentially the type of stuff that's I think it's missing right now. On the good side of this, I am probably going to work on it a little bit. I can probably disclose this, so I'm not putting too many other people on the spot, but I proposed a session on this topic at Open Source Summit. So we are going to present on this. It's a panel, and we are going to present on this specific topic, at least to try to improve. But I think we should have also some textual documentation of, look, this is, and it's totally fine. It's fine to have a company open source, which is open source, but with a close governance, like V8, typically V8 or Chromium, typical example of projects that are they are essentially close governance, okay, model. But on the other side, there is projects like all the impact projects of OpenJS have this model of openness and open governance, and the way things are handled are completely different. And multiple people, multiple companies are involved, and it's a good place, okay, of collaboration across people. So it's which is something that we should strive for, from my point of view. But it's also okay not to. Like, it's okay, to be honest, it's okay to have corporate open source open governance. It's okay to have proprietary software, like everybody has. To be honest, as it's a good place. It's just what I don't like is the confusion between the various what people would expect of the various style of projects, and this is essentially something that I find a little bit problematic. So that's why I think we should try to communicate this clearly, also on the level of support that people can expect when interacting with those projects. So it's different. Oh, it's a company open source, so maybe there are employees working on it. Versus, oh, it's just volunteers open source. And then the people or the person on the other end expect the same. Oh, why the hell this framework gives me a response time of 20 minutes since I post a question on their GitHub, and the other one for the answer gives me 3 days of, and if at all, okay, just to what, and a lot of people don't get the difference at this point.
That all makes sense, Matteo, and I think you and the panel discussing it is great. If you maybe if we could start a document and start hacking on stuff, I'd be happy to add to it. At IBM, we typically don't just say open source, we say open source and open governance kind of in the same phrase. So that's important.
Oh, I agree. If you have some basic tests to get started with, I would be very happy to that we can even credit whatever. It's essentially it's two spectrum of the same thing. So it's I think for me it's a kind of a matrix. So
and I can help as well. I can help writing.
Great.
And I have content as well.
Yeah. It seems. I'm good that this initiative got so much support. So I'm happy. Cool.
Yeah, and do I remember talking about this in a previous meeting, and someone said that there's a foundation that's being started around open governance, like an LF foundation or something. Maybe I dreamt it. I don't know. These are the things I dream about. Well, all right. I will.
I saw Toby noted in the notes IEEE is working on a standard about that, but I thought maybe Jory mentioned something I can't remember.
I'll ask her.
Yeah, I'll go check.
Okay, great. Thank you. Cool. All right. Well, we'll work on this. I'll try to get something started. I think I have some stuff drafted already. Cool.
I'm sorry, Sean, I think you're sending your comments that are in the chat are going only to me.
Are they really? Nobody else can see them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so weird. Okay, I fixed it.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't know if
thank
you want to
you.
copy paste them again, but
Yeah, no, I was just gonna suggest, yeah, I'll rechat or paste it, but I was just saying, I think we just need to, I think the best impact for this is to talk about the trade-off of the models, right? So like even a closed governance system is gonna have some upsides, like you mentioned, Matteo, you know, hey, there's people paid to support this project currently, but I have less control over the direction of this project. I think a lot of people just don't understand the trade-offs. And I think that's going to have a lot of impact by documenting those. And, you know, I suggest like if we're going to get started, we have just like really simple lists, right? Like a name of the type of model, if we can come up with a name for it, or if it doesn't already exist, attributes of it, like what defines it, and then some example project and what those trade-offs are. I think having a simple document or a statement that we can declare, and maybe each of our projects link back to this document on our GitHubs to say, hey, we're an open governance model or we're a closed governance model. Here's where you can learn more and what each of the benefits and trade-offs of these models are.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to take notes here. Yeah, this is good stuff. I think it.
Just as a comment on that last one, I have a hard time understanding when really you would be balancing the benefits and trade-offs of these models. It's more like the situation and circumstances around a project lead to different sorts of governance models, and they then end up with different sorts of attributes. But maybe this is more getting into the details of this discussion, which ought to happen elsewhere than this call.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also important to think about where the open source project came from, because I'm working with some companies now who had only closed source, and they have something now that they'd like to try to open source and they want to learn. So I think if it's originating from a corporation, it may need a different kind of governance model than something that really comes from the community to begin with. So I'm interested in that discussion.
Yeah, or even the journey from one to the other, which I've seen a few times. Cool. All right, great. Well, we'll continue that either in a doc or a working session or something in the near future. Unless anybody has anything else they want to discuss there, I'll jump to the next issue, which is issue 910. This is the patching script for COC modification. I'm going to, where is this? Yagiz has been working on this, and this is pull request 972. I know Emily's been adding helpful updates here. I use the term helpful in parentheses and air quotes. I'm just kidding. I'm giving you
I've been blocking it.
But I see within the last 24 hours, a couple more comments. And Yagiz is trying to address some of these things. So I'll keep working with Yagiz to move this forward. And hopefully, I think the expectation, and we'll talk about this more at the end, but I think the expectation is that we'll work on this some more in the working session next week. We found the doc from the moderation team discussion we had with Joanna Lee from CNCF. And so we'll try to take some of that into the conversation as well. So my expectation is that the working session will be partly around this sort of infrastructure work to manage the code of conduct, and then also the moderation team discussion that we have, and try to make some more progress on these. I feel like we've been making great progress. We're just kind of near the finish line on some of them and just need to get over the last few yards. So cool. I don't know if there's anything.
For the script itself, as far as I know, it's now just hinging on one or two technicalities where effectively there was a very recent force push that rebased it to work on the 2.0 upstream patch, whereas everything previously had been set up to work based on the 2.1, and then in a diff effectively undoing, sort of unrolling the content back to where we actually started from. So if we can just return to the 2.1 basis, then effectively I think we're completely sorted on that one, finally.
Great. Thank you for your help, Emily. I appreciate it. Your eyes. Cool. And then the next one, pull request 851, is basically waiting for this other stuff to land, and then we will likely just close that issue as we will be incorporating the changes that were born out of that. So I'm going to jump to the next issue then, which is 815. This is license check support and tooling. Oh, sorry, did I hear somebody? No? Okay. Where is that coming from? Okay.
It was background music from someone who muted themselves, so you're good.
Cool. Great. So as I had mentioned in the issue here, IBM open sourced a tool to OWASP that does license checking as well as like legal as well. I talked to Robin about this yesterday, maybe. So we might ping LFIT about it, make them aware of it, and see about incorporating into LFX tooling. But I'm going to double back with Michael, who opened this issue, and see if this is something that we should, be incorporating into the OpenJS Foundation here in terms of just, regular checks on what we have here. Michael's out this week, so I will talk to him next week and we'll keep it moving forward. Great. The next one is clarify requirements around code of conduct violation. This has been around for a while. I think that essentially here we've got an old checklist that we're kind of waiting to land some of these things that we've been working on, and then double back on this one to make sure we've got everything covered. So that one's kind of just sitting around at the moment. So unless anybody has anything on those previous items, we can move on to the other items that we kind of added at the end of the agenda here. The first one listed is the Grace Hopper Open Source Day. I know we've participated to some extent in the past. Paula, do you want to give us an update on the live stream here?
Sure. The call for proposals and projects is open on the website now, and I just wanted to ask for advice and discussion from this group as to whether we should have a coordinated effort to nominate projects, or just make that information available to all the projects and they can self-nominate. And I'm also happy to support any of the projects who want to engage in that activity. Any thoughts?
Sounds good. I know in the past with some of these things, like Brian Warner with the open source, what was it? I can't remember what it was called, but there was like one for docs and stuff. I think it was a Google open source day thing. He would maybe open up issues on different projects' main repos. I know Claudio just did that exercise for the Collab Summit. I don't know if we want to just kind of do that sort of approach.
I'm certainly happy to do that.
Okay.
If that's appropriate.
Yeah, maybe we should create a doc or a file in the repo that has links to all the places that we normally do this, and then when we do it, we can just kind of go through the checklist. Since Claudio just went through it as well, maybe we can kind of just put something together.
Okay. Yeah, I can take that on and work with Claudio to get an example and post it to the various repos. Thank you.
Great. Just taking some quick notes. Audio did somebody. Cool. All right, great. Next here we have the Collab Summit discussion. Matteo, you brought this up around the Open Source Summit in Europe. But I don't know if there's also anything we need to talk about or want to talk about here about the North America Collab Summit happening in the not too distant future. Claudio or Matteo, anything you want to bring to the table?
Oh, I just wanted to say that because people completely missed the deadline, a lot of people missed the deadline for applying to speak at Open Source Summit, OpenJS World in North America. If you plan to apply, that's kind of the time to apply for the one in Europe. So I think the CFP ends at the beginning of May, before the next one starts, which it's a little bit unfortunate, but I'm not making those times, so I can probably get to comment on them. Okay, it's a little bit unfortunate, but that's how I understand why they're doing it, and they probably need to do it even sooner. Probably, if it was me, I would probably do it even sooner. But the end result is you need to apply before that. So yeah, just make that happen essentially. And then if we plan to have an open source a collaborator summit, we should start vehiculating that idea to our project. So because I don't think I don't think it's on a lot of people's radar. I was in a Node.js TSC convo last week, and I don't think anybody had a clue, essentially. So on that one specifically. So we need to do some work in spreading that info, essentially.
I think we also need to decide on the Collab Summit in Spain, if it's the day before or the day after the core event, and we still have some flexibility there. So would love your feedback, your wish, preference.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think we've typically done them after, but I wonder about if before is helpful, because you can have conversations and then it can kind of just percolate and you can still like, oh, what about this? You know,
the dates are different though. So if you look at Open Source Summit, And if you look at it, I think the dates are slightly different. So we are doing the one in May in Vancouver before, because the conference is 10, 11, and 12th of May, and we are doing it on the 9th. So people can essentially travel in on the 8th and then travel out on the 12th, kind of staying the full week, essentially. For the one in Bilbao, the conference is 19 to 21st. So it's a full week, essentially. So if we want to keep doing something similar, it will even need to be, because if it's on the 18th, the day before, people need to travel in on the Sunday, which I don't know if it's good or bad for you, but it is what it is. Okay. So, and on the 22nd, there is the reverse problem, which is people will essentially, if we want to stay the full day, there is the risk of losing some of it because of the fact that some people might want to travel off, get home to catch some late flight. So I'm just mentioning it's a nice logistical discussion about it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, interesting. Well, we have time. And Robin, the Open Source Summit EU CFP is already open, but I expect that OpenJS World CFP is further down the line. Not anytime soon.
Yeah, we need to circle back with the event team, so we'll do that.
Okay.
And then we'll do, like we did last time, we did blast emails to our big list, social. So, yeah. Maybe getting caught in people's spam filters, but we'll keep trying, hitting people different ways.
Just FYI, on the website, the OpenJS World EU is CFPs are open. Okay. So we should let people know. And I promise not to miss that one. Cool. All right, great. That's exciting. Just add JS World CFP is open. May 2nd, right? All right, great. Anything else we want to talk about on that topic? Anything else you want to talk about Collab Summit, Claudio, in North America, or anything we want to discuss or raise or whatever?
Not that I'm aware so far. Okay,
great. So then the other thing, we've got 19 minutes left, is the CPC primary director election. The term ended at the end of February. I think we typically have been doing like nominations open for 2 weeks. And then like, and then 2 weeks for voting. Is that right?
I don't know about the nomination period, but I wouldn't mind the voting period being a little shorter. But 2 weeks is fine if that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
I think especially if there's a not 2 weeks worth of nominations, I think a week to decide on your vote is probably plenty. Especially if people who might not be around for that week are able to get their vote, cast their vote early.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we think 2 weeks open for nominations, 1 week for voting. Okay. I can try to get that started today. And we can kind of get that ball rolling. Is there anything else we need to like discuss about this? See, Sarah is online, so that's good. This is for the position that Sarah's in. if not, then I'll just, I'll get an issue open and we'll accept nominations. I think last time we may have used a form. In the past, people messaged me, but that's kind of messy. So I think a form would be great.
Could
Emily?
someone check that our rules don't say that we need to do it for 2 weeks?
Okay. I'll make a note. Check rules about any. Yeah, okay.
I think last time Jory put the form together. I'm happy to put the form together, but it's kind of a conflict of interest, so.
Yeah, sure. I pinged Jory a week or so ago and she said she'd help. So hopefully, if I just get her some of the details, she can just put a form together and then we can.
I can look in the file too, so.
All right, great. All right, cool. So I'll get that rolling. And we should circulate it, but I'll work with Jory and Robin on what we need to do there, send out emails and stuff. We'll get that rolling. Cool. Anything else that we need or want to talk about? I'll just reiterate that on the working session next week, we'll work on this code of conduct stuff, the infrastructure, the patching and whatnot, and then the moderation team stuff. I updated the meeting schedule issue already, which has some links to the specific issues and PRs that we'll look at.
We have a security collab summit meeting in 15 minutes. If that's something that interests you, lots of good stuff happening there.
Yep. Yeah, please join if you're interested. There's a calendar entry with the Zoom link and everything. Cool. Well, if we don't have anything else, and I don't think we have any private business, if I remember correctly, then we can, call it 15 minutes early and reconvene next week for a working session. Cool. Well, I want to say thanks for everybody to everybody for joining today. It's great to see such a good group. So thank you. And we'll talk more soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.